Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Tina Jha. Relentless pursuit of economic growth, coupled with climate change, has brought an unprecedented 1 million species at the doorstep of extinction. This is the finding of a landmark report on the damage done by modern civilization to the natural world. The report, compiled by 145 expert authors from 50 countries, is based on the review of about 15,000 scientific and government sources. Their conclusion is that only a wide-ranging transformation of the global economic and financial system can pull ecosystems that are vital to the future of human communities worldwide back from the brink of collapse. The report has been endorsed by as many as 130 countries, including the United States of America, Russia, and China. It is also the first comprehensive global report in 15 years at the state of the planet's biodiversity. It includes, for the first time, indigenous and local knowledge as well as scientific studies. The authors of the report say they found overwhelming evidence that human activities are behind nature's decline. Our episode of In Depth today looks at the report and its contents, the imminence of the threat facing mankind, and some of the major drivers of species decline, including climate change, pollution, and other harmful aspects of human life. Hundreds of thousands of different species of animals, insects, and plants are facing the risk of extinction, many within decades because of human activity, according to a landmark UN assessment of the state of nature. The 1,500-page report, compiled by hundreds of international experts and based on thousands of scientific studies, is the most exhaustive look yet at the decline in biodiversity across the globe and the dangers that creates for human civilization. A summary of its findings, which was approved by representatives from the United States and 131 other countries, was released on the 6th of May in Paris. But the report also says these trends can be halted and it is not yet too late to fix the problem.
Global capitalism is indeed destroying the earth. On land, in the seas, in the sky, the devastating impact of humans on nature is laid bare in a compelling United Nations report. A landmark UN report on global biodiversity details how economic systems are driving 1 million animal and plant species toward extinction and imperiling the survival of humanity. The crux of the report is that incessant economic growth is fundamentally at odds with the survival of life. In its new report from the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, the UN warned that nature everywhere is declining at a speed never previously seen. The authors said they found overwhelming evidence that human activities are behind nature's decline. From the bees that pollinate our crops to the forests that hold back flood waters, UN's report reveals how humans are ravaging the very ecosystems that support their societies. They ranked the major drivers of species decline as land conversion, including deforestation, overfishing, hunting, poaching, climate change, and pollution.
We're losing biodiversity. We're losing species at a historical rate. Potentially 500,000 to 1 million species are threatened with loss. We've lost much of our native forests, much of our native wetlands, and effectively biodiversity needs to be considered as an equally important issue as climate change. It's not just an environmental issue, it is an economic issue, a development issue, a security issue, a social, moral and ethical issue. The time for action clearly is now.
UN's report said while the earth has always suffered from the actions of humans through history, over the past 50 years, these scratches have become deep scars. However, the report also tells us that it's not too late to fix the problem, but it will take transformative change in every aspect of how humans interact with nature. The report said species loss is accelerating to a rate tens or hundreds of times faster than in the past. It said more than 500,000 species on land have insufficient habitat for long-term survival and are likely to go extinct. The oceans are not any better off. The report said the world's population has doubled since 1970, the global economy has grown fourfold, while international trade has increased 10 times over. It said more than a third of the world's land surface and nearly 75% of freshwater resources are now devoted to crop or livestock production. To feed, clothe and give energy to this burgeoning world, forests have been cleared at astonishing rates, especially in tropical areas. Urban areas have more than doubled since 1992. Plastic pollution has increased tenfold since 1980. Every year, we dump 300 to 400 million tons of heavy metals, solvents, toxic sludge and other wastes into the waters of the world. Between 1980 and 2000, 100 million hectares of tropical forests were lost, mainly from cattle ranching in South America and palm oil plantations in Southeast Asia. An average of around 25% of animals and plants are now threatened. Global trends in insect populations are not known, but rapid declines in some locations have also been well documented. The assessment also finds that soils are being degraded as never before, reducing the productivity of 23% of the land surface of the earth.
The problem with our economic system today is we have some very, very perverse subsidies in the agricultural sector, the transportation sector and the energy sector. And those subsidies normally lead, on average, to destruction or adverse effects on the environment. So the first thing is we need to reform a whole subsidy issue. We need to have incentives in place for clean technologies, clean practices. We need to recognize not just GDP, or gross domestic product, is a measure of economic growth. We have to recognize that nature is a major thing of natural capital, along with human capital, built capital and social capital.
The report also presents a wide range of illustrative actions for sustainability and pathways for achieving them across and between sectors such as agriculture, forestry, marine systems, freshwater systems, urban areas, energy, finance and many others. Based on a review of about 15,000 scientific and government sources and compiled by 145 expert authors from 50 countries, the Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services is the first comprehensive look in 15 years at the state of the planet's biodiversity. A 40-page summary for policymakers of the forthcoming full report was released on May 6th in Paris. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Today, the entire world is grappling with the problem of plastic waste. This not only affects the earth, but also the sea and marine life. About 8 million tons of plastic enters the sea every year. And at this rate, we face a future with more plastic in the ocean than fish by the year 2050. But how does plastic enter the oceans? Let's find out in this report.
Plastic is dangerous for the environment and the entire ecosystem in all stages, from its production to its use. Plastic is manufactured from the elements and chemicals derived from petroleum substances, which is the reason it produces toxic effects through various chemical reactions from the initial production to its use and finally as trash. It is severely dangerous for human beings and organisms. Only 15% plastic waste is left on the Earth's surface, while the rest of it goes into the sea. By eating this plastic waste, not only is sea life getting destroyed, but it is also affecting the sea salt. Plastic, after reaching the sea, acts as a magnet for poisonous substances which sticks to it. According to WWF and London's Geological Society report Living Planet, in the year 2010, about 4.8 million to 12.7 million tons of plastic waste went into sea. A research conducted on loggerhead sea turtles for 10 years showed 35% turtles ate the plastic in the form of food. Apart from this, plastic waste was found in the stomach of 18% of tuna fish and swordfish in the Mediterranean Sea, while 17% cellophane and PET was recovered from the stomach of blackmouth found in Balearic Islands. The report says more than 90% sea organisms are eating plastic in some form, whereas in 1960s this figure was only 5%. The report warns that if the plastic flow into the sea is not stopped immediately, then by 2050, plastic waste will be found in the digestive system of 99% sea organisms, which would be extremely dangerous for the biodiversity.
Plastics can have severe consequences on particular species of wildlife in various different places. We've all seen heartbreaking pictures of turtles with plastics around their necks. We know that plastic is being found in fish and all manner of other marine life and bird life. But the issue here, I think, is that actually this is just a broader symptom of the general disregard that we as people have for our planet, the way that we consume and just throw away without thinking of the consequences. And again, this simply has to stop. It's got to stop now.
There are several ways for plastics to accumulate in the ocean. Most plastic in the ocean breaks up into very small particles and never decompose. These small plastic bits are called microplastics, which pass unchanged through the waterways into the ocean. Microplastics include microbeads used in cosmetics and personal care products, industrial scrubbers used for abrasive blast cleaning, microfibers used in textiles, and virgin resin pellets used in plastic manufacturing processes. Aquatic life and birds can mistake microplastics for food. Several other factors also contribute to microplastic pollution in oceans. These include plastic waste from sewers, construction activities, wastewater management, fishing, shipping, and tourism. Microplastic pollution in ocean is far worse than feared. High levels of microplastics are found in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean. Floating plastic debris in the marine environment releases chemical compounds to the water which harm the marine ecology. Seabirds and animals often ingest the tiny pieces of plastic. Even some of the deepest areas of the ocean are littered with plastic. Although some plastic floats, other polymers are denser than seawater and will sink. A 2017 study found that between 50 to 100% of animals at the deepest places in the ocean had plastic in their stomachs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Everything built in modern human society is provided by nature. And increasingly, research has demonstrated the natural world's incalculable importance to our health, wealth, food, and security. But time and again, we have been pushing our planet to the brink. Human activity is taking an unprecedented toll on wildlife, wild places, and the natural resources that we need to survive on. But if we do our bit, the world could be saved from mass extinction as well as catastrophic change.
The world today is living in an age of rapid and unprecedented planetary change. Many scientists believe our escalating consumption and increased demand for energy, land and water is driving a new geological age. It is also the first time in the Earth's history that a single species, human beings, has had such a powerful impact on the planet. Though this rapid planetary change has brought many benefits to human society, it has also been responsible for the declining state of the Earth's natural systems. And as of now, humanity has no concrete plan for dealing with the environmental crisis caused by climate change, growing population of human beings on the planet, and the massive resource depletion, widespread poverty and pollution, etc. The 2018 Living Planet report from the World Wildlife Foundation has found that human activity has killed a shocking 60% of the Earth's mammals, birds, fish and reptiles since 1970. According to the report, the Earth has lost about half of its shallow water corals in the past 30 years. The report found that growing consumption of food and resources by the global population is destroying the web of life that helps humanity to survive. Many scientists feel we are in the middle of a sixth major mass extinction, one caused solely by human beings.
When we say Earth, it is all about, its whole ecosystem. It's all, it's water, it's marine water, it's soil structure, it's all kind of species together. That forms Earth. Now, protecting that Earth is not easy, considering the fact that over the last 200 years we have done serious damage. Now, if we can reverse that a bit, that would be a great improvement. And I don't expect that in the next 2-3 years we will have, our pristine form of Earth is back. No, that's not possible. But if we make some efforts, if we make some improvement, if we reverse the damage that had been caused over the last 200 years, I think that would be a great achievement.
According to the 2018 Living Planet report from WWF, marine and freshwater ecosystems are also facing huge pressures. Almost 6 billion tons of fish and invertebrates have been taken from the world's oceans since 1950. Plastic pollution has been detected in all major marine environments worldwide. Freshwater habitats such as lakes, rivers and wetlands are the source of life for all humans, yet they are also the most threatened. Land degradation is a problem in virtually every terrestrial ecosystem that is reducing the welfare of more than 3 billion people. A recent assessment found that only a quarter of land on Earth is substantively free of the impacts of human activities, and this is projected to decline to just 1/10 by 2050. This ongoing degradation has many impacts on species, the quality of habitats, and the functioning of ecosystems. Climate change is yet another environmental problem that has surfaced in the last couple of decades. It happens due to pollution of the atmosphere by greenhouse gases and other contaminants. Climate change already has observable ecological and social effects. Climate change affects the fundamental requirements for health, clean air, safe drinking water, sufficient food and secure shelter.
The fact is we are not improving. All the statistics indicate that every year we are not able to protect the other animal species. In fact, our coral reefs are now 50 to 60% down, and all these things are going to get impacted by climate change. If the world warms by more than a degree more than what it is already warm, what it is already is, we might lose all the coral reefs.
Another impact of climate change is global warming, which has already had observable effects on the environment, such as shrinking glaciers, earlier breakup of ice on rivers and lakes, increased droughts, intensifying extreme weather. It has been estimated that around half of the world's mature forests have been cleared by humans. While tropical forests cover only around 6% of the Earth's surface, they are an essential part of the global ecosystem and of the biosphere. They help to regulate climate, they protect soils from erosion, and they provide habitats for a vast number of plant and animal species.
The first cause of this situation is the land use change and the forest use change, water use change that's happening around the world. Which means that what we are doing in the name of development, the way we are changing the situation on Earth, that is the first big change, in reason for the situation. There are a number of other reasons they have counted, including pollution, how our consumption patterns are affecting, how much waste we are creating, and of course climate change is one of the key things.
The population of the planet is reaching unsustainable levels as it faces shortage of resources like water, fuel and food. Population explosion in less developed and developing countries is straining the already scarce resources. Overpopulation is one of the crucial current environmental problems. Besides these, pollution of air, water and soil require millions of years to recoup. It is regarded as one of the major global environmental issues. Natural resource depletion is another crucial current environmental problem. Other recent analyses have revealed that even if the destruction were to end now, it would take 5 to 7 million years for the natural world to recover. To ensure a sustainable future for all living things, we need to urgently curb the loss of nature. The biggest challenge and biggest opportunity lies in changing our approach to development, and remember that protecting nature also helps protect people. Ultimately, the world needs to come together to make a global deal to save nature. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Nature has bestowed Earth with millions of species that we know and cherish. Unfortunately, human beings have irrevocably upset the balance of nature, and as a result, the world today is facing the greatest rate of extinction.
Of the roughly 11,000 different species of birds on Earth, nearly 40% are facing a significant decline due to human activity, including plastic and oil pollution, food shortages from overfishing, as well as climate change. Despite current laws, millions of exotic and wild birds are exploited, hunted, and sold as part of the illegal wildlife trade. While some birds move within a small range, many species undertake extraordinary migrations. This constant movement helps to disperse seeds and transfer nutrients along the way. Birds are also one of nature's best scavengers, helping to eliminate waste and hazardous remains and reducing the spread of disease to humans and other animals.
We are in a very precarious situation today. Our air pollution is high, our species extinction rate is at an unprecedented scale, our water pollution is high. At the end of the day, climate change is now becoming more and more important. So this Earth Day should signify the kind of action that we all need to take to protect this home of ours.
One of the most important species that helps us survive are the bees. Bees are extraordinary creatures that exist in all types of climates around the world. Bees are in fact a keystone species, with others dependent on them to survive. Many species of animals depend on bees for their survival because their food sources rely on pollination. Pollination not only makes food available for other organisms but also allows floral growth, which provides habitats for animals. For the past decade, there has been a continuous drop in the worldwide bee population. As pollinators disappear, the effect on the health and viability of crops and native plant communities can be disastrous. As pollinators, bees also contribute billions to the world economy. Agricultural economies like India are at high risk from the bee decline. Without them, India's food production will reduce by 1/3, as out of the 160 million hectares cropped area in India, some 55 million hectares depends on honeybees for pollination, says a research from University of Agricultural Sciences in Karnataka.
It also says that how pollinators, the insects, are suffering, and drastically they are going down. And if you remember, historically, Einstein once suggested that if you lose insect, in 3 years, entire humanity will be lost.
The inappropriate or excessive use of artificial light, known as light pollution, can have serious environmental consequences for humans, wildlife, and our climate. Too much of light has consequences. It washes out starlight in the night sky, interferes with astronomical research, disrupts ecosystems, has adverse health effects, and wastes energy. All species are dependent on light for natural body cycles. Excess of artificial light has adverse behavioral changes in insect and animal populations, as it confuses the body, affecting the cycle as well as immune function. From newly hatched sea turtles to migrating birds, fish, frogs, salamanders, and lightning bugs, artificial night lighting disrupts the cycles of nocturnal creatures in potentially devastating ways. Light pollution can be simply tackled by switching off the lights when and wherever necessary. The overconsumption of resources and creation of plastics are creating a global crisis of waste disposal. Nuclear waste disposal has increased tremendous health hazards associated with it. Plastic, fast food packaging, and cheap electronic wastes threaten the well-being of humans. Waste disposal is one of the most urgent current environmental problem. Waste management is easy if at an individual level we resort to the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So that's it from us in today's edition of In Depth. We'll be back same time tomorrow with a focus on some other subject. You can also watch our program online on YouTube and Twitter. And don't forget to send your feedback and suggestions about our program. Thank you very much for your time.